For those of you who've watched before, you might notice that something's missing today. It's my beard. Yeah, I got a new razor set and apparently didn't know what the hell I was doing with it. So yeah, I had to start it over. But regardless of the fact that I may look like a wet hairless cat, an infant who time has not been kind to, a 20-year-old who failed 11th grade 4 times and is just trying to fit in, you're still gonna wanna stick around because today we talk to my good buddy Dan, who owns Inked Up Merch, a screen printing and embroidery shop with a heavy emphasis on horror movies. Check it. Guys, you've got Rob from Terre at Synth. Hi. Welcome back if you have checked this channel out before. If this is your first time, welcome. And please remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, all the good stuff so I can keep these videos coming to you. With that said, today we are talking about something that's a big part of horror culture, and that is horror clothing. At this day and age, there is no shortage of places to get some great horror clothing, including rotten cotton, cavity colors, fright rags, and a lot more. But today we're not talking about those companies, we're talking about Inked Up Merch, a great company that provides not only great screen printing for shirts that we love from horror movies, but also a full embroidery shop with great detailed work. And just for your information, this is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. Dan is just a friend of mine whose work I think really speaks for itself. Although full disclosure, I think one time we did share a pizza. Pepperoni. This facial hair thing is killing me. I feel like I'm some guy outside of an Arby's trying to bum a smoke off you. So join us today as we talk about Inked Up Merch and how it started as a business, grew, and how horror was a big influence. Folks, I'm here with Dan Terre from Inked Up Merch, good guy that we met at what a Hudson Horror Show, I believe, right? First time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's definitely where we met. I just don't know which one it was.
I don't remember which one. There were a lot of those. Dan runs an embroidery and screen printing shop with a heavy emphasis on horror, I would say.
Yeah. You know, I do embroidery and screen printing as a full service shop. Well, you know, kind of just based out of my house. You know, and on the side, you know, I opened up an Etsy shop in 2012 of you know, mostly headwear and then turned into patches and but all like that hat, horror related, sci-fi, genre film kind of stuff.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of T-shirts out there, and my focus was wasn't really seeing a lot of headwear at the time, so.
Right. And you do a lot of, you do a lot of the snapbacks. I know you do a lot of beanies. I've gotten some of those from you. And then I know you've done, what else have you done headwear wise?
Let's see. So we did snapbacks, beanies. I actually did some of those, what's the proper name for them? They're kind of like these really like warm winter hats. I did a thing, Outpost on the, they're called trappers.
Okay.
If whoever's watching this, you could just look up trapper hat and you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like those really nice. It seems like they started like in Russia. Like you see a lot of Russians that wear those hats in the cold months. Did some of those, trucker caps, and then I guess that's it for headwear. Yeah.
Nice. And I know your stuff is always changing. You'll do like, I'll see stuff for like, you know, Creep Show, and then I'll see something for like Shivers, or like I'll see a whole bunch of different things.
Yeah.
See, and through vending. And do you still do a lot of shows or anything? Not right now, but
Yeah. I mean, you know, obviously nothing since this whole COVID has hit, but usually on a normal yearly schedule, it's Monster Mania in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, which is usually I do the spring and summer show. And then I do Trenton Punk Rock Flea Market in the spring, and their fall show. And if anything pops up that's kind of interesting or whatever, I'll try to do that. It's hard because like doing both sides of my company only allows me so much time. For people that don't know, I make all this stuff in house too, so it's not like, okay, yeah, at the drop of the hat, I'll just do a show that's next week. You know, I want to be, I got
stuff. Yeah.
especially like, there'll be the Monster Mania show that's in March, and I'll start prepping for that like in December. To be
Wow.
ready. Especially when guest announcements are coming in. I kind of want to cater to some of that too. Because that's what a lot of the fans are coming for. So
Right.
yeah.
So and you do you do retail and wholesale, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone that's interested in carrying my horror stuff, you can reach out to me. Inkedupmerch.com. I do wholesale. Yeah, you can find my stuff in some other shops. House of Mysterious Secrets. Um,
Is
there
that
was a
secrets.com or what's the best place for that?
yeah, House of Mysterious Secrets.com. Um, yeah, I've there's been some stuff at a record store in Chicago that carried some patches of mine and throughout the years. So yeah, that's been cool.
Yeah, and I mean it's very high quality stuff. Like I was always just like really happy. How did you get into embroidery? How did that become? Did you just buy the machine one day and just decide? How did your horror journey lead you to embroidery?
So no, it was back in 99, 90. It was 99, I think. I was, still living in Long Island, where I'm from originally. Um, and I had a friend in the area who, to kind of make a long story short, his cousin had a pizza place up the block from where I lived. And, at 15 or so, I got like, that was my first job. I went up there, went up the block, said, "Hey, do you guys need work?" And I was like their pizza box folder. Um, Fast forward, the shop closed, but I remained friends with the owner's cousin, friend of mine, a really good friend of mine for a while, named Todd. And he started working at the local. There was an embroidery and screen printing shop in the area, and he started working there. And I'd come and visit him, and eventually one day they needed kind of some help. Um, and I was working at a movie theater. This is summer of '99, spring and summer of '99. I was working at a movie at National Amusements Theater as an usher. And at that age, you could take on two jobs, so no problem. Like thinking back, it's like, oh my god, how did I make it through the summer? But so, um, at nighttime, I would kind of like do the movie thing, movie theater job, and during the day, they needed some work at this shop, so I'd be trimming thread off, hats or whatever that was coming off. For those who don't know, when something comes off the embroidery machine, there's usually some excess thread to trim to make it look all nice and presentable, for the customer. So that's where it started, and I really took to it. I really enjoyed it. And at the end of that summer, I really like the two jobs became exhausting, and I kind of was like, eh. And so I asked the guys and my friend Todd and my good friend Mike, who was always been one of the owners there, and it's now it's just Todd and Mike. And I said, I'd really like to stick out with you guys. I enjoy coming here, working with you guys. I enjoy this, learning this trade. And they said, well, listen, it's busy now, but I'm not going to lie to you. There's always a dead season in every business, and it comes after the holidays. They said, it's up to you, if you want to stick it out. And I took a shot, so I left the movie theater and worked there for, geez, from 99 to 2004, 2005, and then moved out to Cali for a year and a half, trying to pursue a career in the music business. Didn't work out too well. I moved back, and then 2006 or so, for the next couple of years, is when I eventually got my job back there. At this point, I've learned the trade of screen printing, embroidery, um, and free lessons, which is there's no better than that, because if you get into this business, it's not something you just like, oh, I'm going to purchase the equipment and then just like take lessons, and then you really don't just dive into something like this, because equipment is not cheap. um, it's something you need to have a really good grasp on, in both embroidery and screen printing. So I was very fortunate, and to this day, I thank my good friends Todd and Mike for teaching me, for free, essentially getting free lessons.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I'm forever thankful. It was never my uh, destiny to get into the business myself, but when I returned from California, I was kind of down on myself just because it hadn't worked out um, with the music business, and so I was back with my friend's shop, and my friend Ty was like, well, listen, you want to start your own side thing, you use our equipment, and you just give us a percentage of the jobs you get. Because at that time for years I'd been involved with the music scene, the underground music scene out there, the punk hardcore scene. So I had a lot of friends, bands, and so that's kind of how Inked Up Merch started, 2006 or so, um, where I was focusing on band merchandise. And through the years, I'd gone through some other jobs, and just all things just kept like leading back to this business. And Inked Up Merch was doing, okay as like a side thing, and in 2000, I met my wife. We'd known each other for a couple of years, but we didn't start dating until about 2010. And then we got married in 2012. And she's her job requires very good math skills, and she had kind of been doing some math. And one day she was like, I think you got what it takes to do this full time. And I was like, man, you mean like buy my own embroidery machine? Like, are you crazy? Like, you know what those things are? She's like, and I and all these interviews I do, I always, and I'll say it here too. Excuse me, is that I owe a tremendous amount to her, for her pushing me to go for it, because it's scary, man. Like at that point, I'm working at Cablevision, Optimum, and I'm answering emails for Inked Up Merch, for stuff while I'm doing my what's supposed to be my like career. And that's when it was kind of like, my wife was like, yo, I think we should go for it, give it a shot. And in 2012, which is right around the time, I really pushed forward for Inked Up Merch to go full time. The idea had popped into my head. Etsy was really taking off at that point.
Mm.
Um, I'm trying to think if they had gone public. Maybe that's what was like a big thing, or might have been before they actually went public, but they were still huge. They were like the big one, the big sell your homemade goods store where there's tons now.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so I opened up the Etsy shop. I did some mock-ups first. I thought of the beanies, because I love beanies in the wintertime. And it's like I said early on, when we were talking, like, there's tons of t-shirt companies, and it's not to knock any of them. I love all, I buy from all of them, Fry Rags and Cavity Colors, and
Right. Yep.
you all put out some great stuff,
Mhm.
but there wasn't a lot of headwear. So that was my main focus, was like, I'm going to focus on the headwear
Yeah, smart.
and see if what I think is correct, it might be like a little niche market. And sure enough, it just, long story short, just snowballed, and it is what it is today. Where now I'm vending at conventions, and I've worked with, a manager that he's a convention manager, among many other things. But some of his clients have been Matthew Lillard, that I've done stuff for, late George Romero, rest in peace. Some of the cast from Hellraiser. Uh,
Right.
so
That's so awesome.
yeah, so there's been a lot of connections made as well through doing the horror aspect.
Right.
Sorry, a lot of rambling there, man. But
That's good. That's what we're here for. So I remember you worked with Amy Steele, right? You did an Amy Steele line.
yeah, yeah.
13.
A friend of mine, Bobby, is good friends with her. He's Kimberly Beck's manager. Shout out to Bobby Heckman, friend of mine, and he like I said, he manages Kimberly Beck at conventions. From Friday the 13th Part 4, and from doing those, he became friends with Amy Steele, and then uh, one day Amy was at New Jersey. I was at a New Jersey HorrorCon, the one that's in Atlantic City, that she was at. They were having like a big Friday the 13th kind of reunion from, it wasn't just one Friday the 13th. It was like a, you know, Maffredini was there, and um, God, I always blank on this stuff. But Amy was there, and that's where we met. And I had done an Amy, her character Jenny from Part 2. I'd done a pin of hers, and it did okay in a shop, but it was getting to the point. This was around the time when the enamel pins were really just oversaturated, and if you didn't have like a really, really, really unique idea, it was kind of like everything was kind of getting lost in the shuffle.
Right.
So I
Yeah,
was kind of, what's that?
those really blew up.
The pin game?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's huge, man. But I don't touch it anymore. It's just it's risky. To me,
Mm,
it's risky unless people know you for that specifically. I don't know, or your company's just huge. Like
right.
it's a different ballpark. Um, so I had some pins left over, and Bobby said like, "Yo, bring them to New Jersey HorrorCon. Amy might be interested." And she kind of was like, take it back. Like, first off, who is this guy? Like, Bobby, who's this guy you're interested in who did pins of my character? Like, and I understood. I totally understood. Where she was coming from. Not to mention, like, she wasn't really aware, or seemed kind of aware that like these pins will sell. I said, so I went up to her and I was like, and I'm honest, being honest, and I said, listen, I'm gonna put these pins on your table. All right. Don't give me any money. I'm gonna put them on your table. If you sell them, we'll split the profits, and if not, it's no loss to you. So we put a couple pins down. I shit you not, within less than 5 minutes, no exaggeration, they were gone. Like,
That's awesome.
gone. Like, she sold like maybe 15 or 20 within like a half hour or so, and it was all because it's coming from Amy Steele. you
Right,
know and
right.
that's what I was trying to explain to her, like, in our conversation. I said, my push for these in my shop only went so far, but when the person, who's behind this character is like, this is it's
It's funny how sometimes the people you'd think like they'd know all these kinds of things and everything. No, they've done that movie and like they're moved on to other things and it's left such a big impact on like this genre. That then and just with the horror in general, that then I think sometimes they don't see like, oh yeah, there's a huge following for all this stuff, and then like
yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
fun.
I think I gained Amy's trust after that. And I said to her, I said, listen, I said, listen, there's no, I told her, I said, I don't mind, with your permission, I would love to do, we eventually called it the Jenny Field line. And I said, let's do some items. I said, there's no money in it for you. I was like, I'll supply the product and the design, and you approve everything. And if we sell it at, here's your cut. And she trusted me, and it did well. We did. They were actually called field bags. So that the ones like that one strap that goes over. So we did those.
Right, right, right. I remember seeing those. Right.
Yeah. Um, Unfortunately, the brand that makes them discontinued them, which sucks. So we're Amy and I are in the works for some new product.
Nice.
But we become good friends, and she's also very helpful sometimes with marketing the stuff. Like, we did like a giveaway, and I said, would you mind doing a video? I don't know if you saw it. She did like a video announcing it was a Friday the 13th contest, and she took, she's a very busy person, and she took the time out of her day to do that, which was awesome. And it's great. It's really cool. It's really cool to just, you know when these people are just down to earth, they're just, you find out like, some not so much act like that, but then you find really nice ones like Amy, and
Yeah,
just
that's awesome.
just I just consider her a friend, like now it's like, so it's really cool. And
Right, and I haven't met probably as many as you have, but most of the people that I've met, there've been a couple, but most of the people that I've met have been awesome. I mean, it's just in general, I find like the horror community is like that as well. Like like like
yeah,
like Hudson Horror and things like all the people that are vending, all those kind of like everybody usually is just on the same page with things. Everybody is usually just happy to have other people around them that are into the same things and that are trying to do something with the same things. And that's why it's great, seeing, what you've done with your business and how you've built it with that. And like you said, you didn't even know you were going to get into that with it. You were doing, embroidery. It you just kind of fell into it. It sounds like.
yeah.
Did you always know you were going to do something with horror, or was it? I know you were also focusing a lot on music. Um,
Yeah.
and did that immediately become a part of when you did Ink That Merch? Was that immediately were you just like, okay, now I'm jumping right into the horror too, or was it emphasis?
No, 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 not at all. Like I said, the first inkling was, all right, band merch is hot at this time. There's a lot of merch companies popping up. I've been given the equipment to use, which is a bonus. I have a lot of friends in bands, and they are friends with other bands, so I have the connections. And it was literally at this point, Rob, it was like this was like MySpace era. So it was literally bands are really pushing themselves on there. If you
Yeah.
remember that time, and it was waking up and at least like hitting up 50 bands in the circle of music that I listen to all over the U.S. Just saying, hey, I'm a merchandise business. I do screen printing, embroidery. Here's my contact info, free quotes. Thanks for your time for reading. And I just send and just kind of send that message over and over and over. And it's like that's
Right.
it can't hurt. Like
That's what you have to do. That's what you have to do, right? When you're first
yeah,
starting and just getting out there and throwing
yeah,
stuff around, trying to figure out what's going to work, who you're going to be able to work with.
yeah. And it worked a little bit. It did work. You know when I was realistic about who I was sending these messages to. It's like, because at that time you could see the plays, and like, once in a while, like, yeah, I would, I think you could set at that point, you could set to the genres, and then I had like I would go through different, you could like location. I think one time I came across Cannibal Corpse. And I was like, let me just send a message anyway, and not that I ever got a reply back. They probably have some huge merch company doing all their stuff, but I wasn't exactly sending this message to like, to big bands like that, to the
Sure,
big heavy
sure.
bands. I was trying to stick to like, all right, this, they got a decent following. Uh, they're kind of within my area. Let me give it a shot. So that was,
And what's in the future for Inked Up Merch? Any projects you're working on now?
yeah, yeah. Just ended a 3-day sale. 3 day.
Halloween jacket.
Yeah, the Halloween varsity jacket. Yeah, everyone enjoyed it last year, and I didn't offer this color scheme. I thought I did offer it, but I don't know why I didn't last year. But I offered this color scheme. This company makes an orange and black version.
I thought that's not what you did.
I did like a navy blue and gray,
Hmm.
um, and I could have sworn maybe I found this jacket later on around that time last year, but I don't think I don't know if I did. I could be wrong. Um, but this time I just offered that color. Um, and so we did, I just did a 3-day
Yeah.
limited release on that just because they take a while to do. So that's why I kind of just like, all right, Friday, everyone gets paid on Friday. Here's your chance, and just after 3 days, just shut it down because
Nice. Yeah, no, I saw it. That's a very elaborate jacket with for people who don't know, it's like a whole like full varsity jacket, right? And it's got
yeah, yeah,
like the
yeah,
Hatfield high on the back and the
yeah,
pumpkin on the front and all.
yeah. I had the HH and the pumpkin on the front last year, and this year I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stick to the pumpkin and the Haddonfield high and back, and just kind of, because it's just it's what people don't know, that don't know a lot about embroidery is the phrase "your time is money" plays big time into that. And these jackets with jacket backs take a few hours on the machine.
I believe it.
So you know, if that if you're ever at a convention and you ask, oh, can I get it for this price instead? Please don't take it personally when I say no. It's that
Dan's got to eat.
I got to eat, and my time's got to be worth something, right? Everyone's time is worth something, when they're
I
working.
saw those jackets. I was looking before. I was just like, oh man, before we talk today, I got to check out what he's been up to lately. And they look great, man. They look really
Thank you,
good.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, yeah, they did okay. We did, moved a couple. Um, I just did I'm just trying to think of the newest stuff. Oh, we got series 2 I decided to do this kind of like a silly thing of taking the old designs of campaign buttons from like the 60s or 70s of,
With the horror, yeah,
yeah, and making like horror icons as the, as the ones that are running for president, just to kind of put a spin on things, because we're in such serious times right now. To have this series too was, I like to kind of bring a breath of fresh air and
for sure.
comedy to it all. So we got this 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 election we have for 2020. We have Pinhead, you've got Ash, and you've got Candyman. So those are limited to 50 each candidate, and that's new. I did mention I'll be doing a release of the Fog soon, doing some patches and hats for that, and got two cool tee designs I want to do. That I've teased one of them, and the other one is going to be, I'll just tease it here and say it is holiday related. So
All right. All
that's
right.
what I'm working with there. I'm
Well,
sure there'll be some other stuff in between.
you heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, yeah. That's exclusive.
So yeah, man. So let me before we leave, just a couple of your favorites. What are some of your favorite items that you've made that were either the most fun to make or the most fun to collaborate with someone? Some of your personal picks.
Oh, you know what? I can't believe I didn't mention this, and it's one of my personal favorites, and it's current. It's actually a current one. I worked with Little Shop of Gore. We met just via Instagram, and I think they're still engaged. Maybe they got married. They're a couple based out in California, SoCal, and we just did our first collaboration with Slimer. And I had this idea. Again, I'm always trying to think a little outside the box for the horror merchandise. And I was like, oh, I can get these like kind of like 6-pack coolers, like the ones that kind of insulated. They keep your drinks. You could get a 6-pack of your favorite beer or your favorite soda, whatever, or water, whatever, seltzer. But I want to keep it kind of like whatever the design was. I want to keep it kind of food beverage related. And the first thing that came up to me was, Slimer chugging an Ecto Cooler. So we just did that, and it came out. Selena, she did the artwork from Little Shop of Gore, and she just knocked it out of the park. I love how the artwork came out. We did coolers and patches of that. That's actually, I think, will go down as one of my favorites, because it really, I had the vision. She nailed the artwork, and just seeing the finished product, it was, it's nice to see exactly how it all came to fruition. Man, some of my other favorites. trying to think. I really oh, Twilight Zone sweatshirt I did. Um, Again, I collaborated with an artist named Michelle Bauer, who I think everyone should follow. That's Bauer. And she did. I'm a huge Twilight Zone fan, um, and so we did the sweatshirts. They're actually still available. The Twilight Zone logos on the front, and then it's Rod Serling with the kind of that swirl, that
Yeah,
black and white swirl right behind him, and
yeah.
he's kind of got the cigarette too. Um, so those are I love her artwork fits so well for embroidery, so that came out really great. Man, it's just a ton of stuff on there. I liked I not that it was anything original, but I'm a huge fan of Final Destination films too. And there's like nothing with Final Destination out there, so I did a Final Destination beanie. I was just psyched just to do that. I do a lot of things. Most of the films I pick are just ones I like. Like
Right, right. I know we've talked about this before. Yeah,
yeah, like
you got to make the things that sell so you can make the things you want to as well, right?
yeah, I do a little bit of that too, but I can't get myself to do anything Rob Zombie related. I just loathe the man so much, and his films. So it's like one guy. Like I'm sure people love his stuff, and to each their own, of course. Um,
I'm hit and miss on his movies. I mean,
yeah, I thought Devil's Rejects was okay.
I like that. I like that, but
Yeah.
yeah, I know a lot of people do not like that style at all. So you've been staying away from that.
Yeah. It's just the same thing. It's like it could be a different story, but his wife's always going to be in it, and she sucks at acting, and it's always some kind of like he finds a way for it to be some kind of like that backstory he did on Michael Myers. Ugh.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. I don't like those, but I did like Lords of Salem though. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought
I've heard mixed reviews about that. I'm not, my time, listen, it's not even like just as horror fans, but as just film fanatics, we have such limited time and so much content out there now that,
yeah.
you know, it really, not to sound nerdy or like, but to be serious about this, even though it's kind of like a laughable, it's like, you don't want to waste your time
No,
on a
it's true.
potentially crappy film, you
It's
know?
it's true. Especially as I get older, I feel that more. Like
Yeah. I
because
think,
of the time thing, and especially when you have another job or you're trying to run the business, and then you're just like, all right, I got my hour and a half now to watch this movie, and
right.
yeah, for that reason, this is how I know I'm getting old because I'll go back and I'll like see a movie that's going to be something new, and I'm just like, oh, that could be all right, that looks decent, and then I'll look at the same movie I've seen like 50 times, like The Burning or something, and I'll just be like, I'll just watch that. I know I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like in the background you're a Blu-ray collector, right? or DVD collector.
Mostly DVD. Yeah, you can't see too much from here, but I do have. Well, I have some up on the top there, but that
Yeah,
cabinet's all filled with DVD
yeah.
as well. Mostly older ones, but yeah, Blu-ray, all that.
That's
Too.
what I was saying. Like what I was getting at was just like that's the other thing. Like I find, especially through this pandemic, finding myself, people are doing these crazy sales, especially Shout Factory. And I love Shout Factory, especially just content, the extra content alone, which I just is what I yearn for. Um, that's the same thing. Like I go to buying these movies with all this extra content on it, and end up watching that than a new film. And it's nothing against new films. I'm not like some kind of like, oh, the 80s are the best, like that kind of thing. Like, I mean, there's nothing's going to touch the 80s, of course, but that's just because that was our time. You know, um, you
Yeah.
know, but there's such great stuff coming out, but it's overwhelming. It's so overwhelming.
It's comparatively. I don't want to diminish like the all of the creativity that goes into making a movie and all, but just comparatively to back then, it's just so much easier to make a movie, right? So much
Yes.
on like just a such a smaller budget on with with less resources than you'd ever need. So that's why, yeah, I think like you've seen that with the digital, just with the start of the digital age in general, like you just saw so many more movies. It's just such a, yeah, you're right. There's so much content out there, and it's like sometimes it's just, yeah, I don't even know anything about half of this. Like I don't follow half of the things nowadays. But then something great will come along. You're just like, oh wow, this probably wouldn't have came out because there wouldn't have been an audience to this that would have really even cared about this years ago. Beside the this niche thing. So like some of the movies that are even bigger movies today, I think that are coming out. Like there's some good stuff in there that maybe 15, 20 years ago you wouldn't see as much just because of the way that the medium is getting out to people.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, just back to your point, like how easy it is to make a film these days. And again, we're not taking anything away from filmmakers, but one of the big buzz films right now is that movie Host. I don't know if you saw that. It's on Shudder. It's
Yeah.
they must have made this film. I haven't looked up what they made it for, but it's essentially a found footage Zoom call film. I know, like, I'm not going to sell this well, but I thought it was done really well. But they must have, they got the idea from the pandemic. I mean, it was
Right.
there was a pandemic, like just like COVID, and that's what the world is in this movie. And they banged this, it's just a long Zoom call for, it's like not even an hour and a half, which is perfect. It was like 80 minutes. The premise is they do a seance and shit just goes badly, like whenever you do any kind of seance in a horror film. But I mean, a couple grand to make, maybe, to pay the actors, and a couple cool digital effects. But I mean, obviously it was written and put out probably within months.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's a time period that it's going to take now. Yeah, you don't need to go through all the other hoops anymore. You can independently put things out. You can put it out on, on mediums. Yeah, again, you can get so much cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, there was that film also not too long ago. That the name's going to escape me, but maybe you saw it too and you'll remember. It was entirely shot on the guy's iPhone.
Oh, I forgot what that was called. I know what you're talking about, but I haven't. I heard I haven't
It's a
seen
multi-personality film, maybe, or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember, but I know I knew you'd know what I was talking about. But it was done well. I wouldn't know it was shot on an iPhone, So, but there's pluses and minuses, man. I just think there's too much content right now, and it's overwhelming. It gives me anxiety.
Yeah, we're old and spoiled, so there's that.
Yeah. So
all this stuff.
thank you,
my
Bob.
DVD.
My acid reflux gonna act up.
Dan, thanks so much for meeting with me today, man, and just chatting. It's good to catch up with you and just to learn a little bit more about what you're doing and get some more history on that. Like I said, I've always had a lot of respect for your stuff. You're always just a really great guy. When we met and we were, talking and all too, I, implore you all to go out and check out Inked Up merch. So inkedupmerch.com. Where else, Dan? Where else were we saying?
Just inkedupmerch.com is the best place, because that's, if you need custom or custom embroidery screen printing, that's the place to go. The link for the Etsy shop is at inkedupmerch.com. I'm on Instagram at inkedupmerchandise. I do a lot of, I try to keep that pretty updated, as that seems to be the in platform nowadays. But people should keep an eye out for 2-day rental too, man. Push those candles.
I will. We haven't really talked about that on this channel yet. I figured I'd give them a break before I started pushing my marketing right in their face, But
well, I'm gonna push it. All right. So you don't have to feel like, oh man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, you got good stuff going, man. So I look forward to seeing what you do in the future.
I am. You'll be the first to know. You'll be in the group of the first to know.
Awesome. And vending at a Hudson Horror sometime down the road. I know it'll come back.
Very much hope so.
Yeah.
Man. See you later.
All right, buddy.
So Now we know more about where all that cool-ass horror garb comes from. Thanks for joining us today, Dan, and for giving us all of this information. And thank you guys so much for watching. As always, it is very appreciated. And we'll be seeing each other soon. Later. Oh, I forgot the other beard joke. I was going to say something about Naird, clammy, sack, face, something. I don't know. I'm just going to grow it back.